Hi there, that's right, it's Nick Dutch, the great and glorious, soon to be famous one day Nick Dutch, back on the camera again. Now, I get an awful lot of comments these days on my videos, which is a wonderful thing. I'm glad my videos have been able to actually spark some dialogue, and the fact that there has been some agreements and disagreements on various different points has been fascinating. Now, I can't actually do a video response to each and every single comment that's been made, but once in a while something appears on my comment section which does, ring a bell or appears to be something which needs to be covered in great detail. One particular YouTube user did a comment on the subject of belief and knowledge and asked whether these two things could actually operate together or side by side. Now, I'm going to give you an argument today. The argument is that belief and knowledge overlap quite substantially. We are actually living in a sea of beliefs. You are living in a sea of beliefs. You have experienced beliefs probably every single day of your life since you were born. Some of them you tried to develop yourself as a way of understanding how the world works, and some of them have occurred as a result of someone else giving you some form of instruction that you felt the need to absorb somehow. Let's just have a quick look at what a belief is. Essentially, a belief is something which has been accepted to be true. Whether it is true or not is beside the point. I have a belief. I believe that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Is that true? Well, it depends upon the purity of the water, it depends upon your altitude, it depends upon the air pressure, and a wide variety of other different factors. So, does water actually boil at 100 degrees Celsius? Basically, no, but I can take that as a rule of thumb. If the atmospheric pressure in the place where I'm boiling the water changes ever so slightly, then the temperature at which the water will boil will vary, possibly by a fraction of a degree, but it will still vary. So essentially, my belief that water boils at 100 degrees Celsius is in fact incorrect. Can we therefore say that all beliefs are incorrect? Well, no, we can say that beliefs are at times, not always, but at times are useful ways of trying to understand the world. But what other forms of belief do we have? Well, let's have a look at what philosophical and social theory says. I come from a background of a degree in sociology and psychology, and one of the main modules I did in my final year looked very heavily at philosophy. And we learned about some key thinkers. One of them was Derrida, and he came up with the idea of the regime of truth. Now, a regime of truth is something which is stated to be true, but which in fact, in practice, might not be true. So we could take what one particular politician says as being his regime of truth, and another politician who has a different point of view may speak just as passionately as the first politician about a different angle on the same situation. So he has his own regime of truth, and they're both expressed to you as if they are hard and fast facts. Now, this could cause you a bit of confusion. You may think, well, which is true? The fact of the matter is that they are both points of view. They are regimes of truth and not actual truth. Again, when I was going through my degree, we learned what science was really about. We tend to assume that science is about the truth, when in fact the process of science is about trying to come closer to the truth. And scientific discoveries are always developing with the passage of time. So as humans, we can't really say that we ever have complete and utter total possession of the truth. Some things are fact as far as they can go. For instance, the fact of gravity operating on this cigarette lighter. But as far as to how that operates, we only have evolving, developing theories which have evolved quite dramatically, even within the past couple of years. And even if you're seeing this video, maybe a year after I've made it, the theories of gravity will probably have changed even further. What else can we say about belief? Well, it's used extensively by the advertising community. There is a way in which you are being controlled by the advertising community. Think about the characters that are in the commercials. It could be, let's say, a senior woman providing some variety of wisdom about one particular foodstuff or breakfast cereal. The senior woman essentially represents a maternal character. Someone who is passing on their wisdom and suggesting that you should accept because it is wisdom. Or maybe there's a youthful character who is in an anti-drugs commercial. The people who've made the commercial will know that young people will only be able to empathize properly with the views of people of their own age. So essentially the anti-drug adverts show people of that age group expressing certain points of view. This is a way in which belief can effectively be sculpted. Also, the power of advertising does overlap with the power of sales. A really skilled salesperson knows how to use their language through a system that they call closing techniques to try and assist the potential clients to get more and more excited about the product or service in question, to try and bring them to the point whereby they're willing to part with money. This is the process whereby some beliefs are created. You yourself are riddled with beliefs. A lot of them are social attitudes or views upon things that you should like or things that you should hate. But these are still beliefs. Sometimes they've occurred as a result of your upbringing. Maybe your mother or father held certain beliefs and you carried them forward. But essentially, these are still beliefs. Have you heard the expression, rule of thumb? Well, I read somewhere, therefore it's a belief of mine, that in ancient times people actually used the width of their thumb when rolled across a surface to measure a particular distance, and there were other various units that were made up initially from this one particular unit of measurement being the width of the thumb rolled over a surface. And from this we get the phrase, the rule of thumb. But let's say just hypothetically that people did in the old days measure distances over, let's say, a piece of wood with the width of their thumb. Everyone's thumb is different, but essentially it becomes useful to use the width of the thumb as a convenient measurement, a form of quasi-common sense, you could say. So essentially people were using beliefs even with things such as engineering in the old days. And from that, essentially, a form of science or a form of engineering or a form of alleged fact seemed to develop. As a human being, I'm very aware that belief and knowledge do at times go side by side. The process of being a human being, the process of growth, is essentially the process of changing in terms of attitudes and points of view, schemas and paradigms on a regular basis throughout your entire life. So essentially, it's part of the organic process to learn and to grow and to change and therefore to adopt new beliefs and get rid of old ones. Being out here on the internet can be fascinating because you can see a wide variety of different beliefs being expressed. But we do have to remember that these are in fact primarily beliefs. Do we have hard and fast factual evidence that the New World Order exists? No, not at all. But there are many people who claim it as a direct result of certain forms of apparent evidence that they feel is good enough to be representative of truth. Unfortunately, this could not be further from the truth. But for those people, it becomes representative of what they consider to be knowledge. Now, just as an afterthought, taking into account everything that I've just told you, do you feel that it is your responsibility as a human being, a mammal with probably the largest brain capable of cognitive thought, as well as artistic expression on the face of the planet, to be able to continually go through the process of changing, challenging, and understanding where your beliefs come from, and trying to move to a better quality of understanding about life? When I was in school, we used to sing a Christian hymn, and the words went something like, "From the old I travel to the new, keep me travelling along with you." A phrase which is quite sweet, maybe a little naive. Not necessarily something that a child can understand, but with the passage of life we realise that the thing which changes is ourselves. And yes, we have to throw away old ideas and welcome in the new. This has been Nick Dutch. Good fortune, God and or Goddess and or none of the above bless. Speak to you in a while. Bye for now.